Hey guys, my name is Marcel Irnie, and this is the Irnieracing Ninja 400. And today we are installing Woodcraft Rearsets. So we're getting that stock stuff off, and then pretty much it's got the shifter side and the brake side. And yeah, let's get at it. Cheers. Just cutting them out. So I also opted to get the folding toe pegs from Woodcraft. So it's a nice option instead of the solid ones. They're gonna pivot, and if you do low side, you're not gonna bend your shifter. So anyways, I got everything set up, guys. Next step is to remove the Oem Shifter side rear set.
Yeah, you remember when he was racing those kids on the 300s?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that was good.
North Carolina.
You know what? You know what? Despite the many disadvantages that you were at, that just goes to show you how fast those kids are, man. They're freaking quick,
For sure, yeah. That one kid was killing it out there, and that's the inspiration, guys, to get the Ninja 400 was that race with Moto Gladiators back in North Carolina Research Center.
Oh yeah, that was probably one of the best videos.
So let's continue on, guys. I got my Seattle Tool Allen key. And the first step is we're going to remove the actual shift link here is replaced with Woodcraft, and I'm going to pull out the whole rear set. Love my Seattle Tool wrench ratchet. Alright, and then let's break the pegs loose, guys. Get this OEM rear set off.
That ugly OEM rear set.
Yeah, it's nice to have these little T-handle Allen style too. 1, 2, unskis. All right, we'll be back shortly. On this. Also note, guys, I made some marks on the shift link here. So that is GP is the mark on the left, and the original one at 4 o'clock is regular shift. And I took off the case to access just to make it a little easier to get to the top bolt. Stock sprockets a 14 on this thing. Not sure what the rear is. Oh, it's a 41. 1441. Go. Okay, so my next step is let's start assembling it. I actually want my pegs relatively low to start. So you can even see through there and even the air gap, right?
Yep.
So obviously you could put this piece in a higher spot, and that will then the air gap's lower where the bolt goes, right? So then the peg's higher. So that's how you adjust the height. So I want it low, so I'm going to put down the bolt's going to be in the higher zone. Now make sure, and then it comes with a large bolt like this, make sure you use blue Loctite on everything, guys. Blue Loctite on everything. I can't say it enough. How many people, even my students, they'll take their bike to a professional shop, and I'm like, okay, your bike's ready to go, right? And then because I'm like, yeah, I had a shop attach these rear sets and stuff. Oh, it's freaking
With red Loctite, and you can't get the bolt off, right?
No, it's the other way around. All their stuff fell off. Because, like you take it to a shop and they don't even do it. So, blue Loctite and everything. I got to actually clean this out. It's frozen in there. So, anyways, good to go.
Here we go.
Action. So there you go. Get a nice load on the threads. We do not want to lose any of this stuff. So that's plenty right there. One side. You don't really have to spin it around, but some people like to do that. It'll be shifted around when you tighten it on. So throw it through the hole, spin her on. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, so I'll finish tightening this up. Next step comes up next. Okay, so I just mocked up everything. Oh, let me get out of the shadow, guys. So essentially, here is going to be the shifter. Here's the pivot for the shifter, and so everything goes together just as per the instructions, and then the shift link in GP setup. So if you take a look at the instructions, the same idea. You can see how everything goes together. It's pretty simple. They got a pattern for GP and standard shift. So just follow the diagram, and then of course I'll get this on there instead of this one. There we go. Again, that's the main bolt that people lose is the shift link. So make sure you get some blue Loctite on that. And then of course blue Loctite on these two guys as well. And then on the actual shift toe piece. That reminds me, I also like to personally put a little bit of grease on the shift link pivot pin here, just because I want smooth action. So this is AMSOIL's high temp grease. So anyways, just tighten these things up now. Loctite it on, of course. It's coming together. Now on the back of the shifter, and spin on the lock nut. Hard to do this one-handed. Okay, so note the difference if you want to order the folding toe pegs. So obviously you low side and it's going to fold in like that and grind along the ground like that instead of them the whole thing grind along the ground. So definitely worth spending a couple more dollars and ordering those, in my opinion.
Got it.
So with the folding toe piece, guys, make sure you have it so it's going to go back towards the shifter, right? So when you low side, you want it to go that way because typically the bike's going to travel. But most important is it's not going to bend up or down when you actually push up or down on the lever. If you had it in the wrong direction, then you shift up, you're like, what? So make sure you have it facing back and then tighten it down with Loctite. Cheers. Okay, so I got it all mocked up, guys. All this stuff is going to stay loose. In fact, I left this loose even though I put Loctite on it because I'm going to be turning these eccentric. You got a male side and a female side, or maybe they're both female, I can't remember. But either way, you're going to spin the collars, and then these are lock nuts in the end. If I can do it to give you an example, the whole thing spins, and as you spin, it goes closer together, and then it widens, it goes further, so they're both going together. Essentially, they're both female style. And so that's how you adjust your height of the shifter, by adjusting that height to get it just perfect. So let's take a look at the lower settings. So you notice there's two pivots, guys. The bracket mount, there's that and that. So if I put it in the other one, the peg would be higher, essentially a ½ inch higher. But in the lower setting, with this in the lower setting as well, we're looking at 16.5 inches. Now we cruise around to the stock peg and we are around 15.25. So, or at the end 15 there, but in the inner part you're at 15, so 1.5 inches higher in the lowest setting. So by putting on these race rear sets, you're definitely raising the height. Okay, let's take a look at how we adjust the shifter height. So right now, the shifter is only 1 inch or 2 below the foot peg, but when you sit on your motorcycle, your foot's gonna be like this, so I need it lower. And right now, it is bottomed out in both of the ends. So I get it kind of centered, they're both even. And then if I extend them, so extending them is lowering, look, check it out. It's lowering the peg right there. That's what I want to do. And then you're going to lock down the lock nuts. But make sure you leave enough thread inside it. So you're going to have to figure it out as you go. Another important thing to note is the angle on the spline to the gearbox. And then of course the angle from here is off a little bit. But you want it to kind of be perpendicular to the motion. So essentially when you push forward, this is say this is top dead center, it's going to go forward. And when you pull back, it's going to pull back. So you got to think about the angles and have it the most efficient as possible. And so Loctite on this guy, and now I have my positioning that I want. That's the best 90 degrees possible, and get it all put together. I also put myself on the motorcycle and tested out my shifting, and I'm going to be ready to tighten everything down now. So you put these guys, you lock those down both sides. I'm going to lock this stuff up. And then in the end, it's always a good idea to put a little shoe goo on the components as well, even beyond the Loctite. And remember to then Loctite the OEM bolts that hold the actual bracket on. So don't forget to do that, guys. Okay, in summary, that is the shifter side, guys. So there you go. Of course, with having this, you're going to be able to move it just slightly. It's going to be loose. So make sure you tighten those accordingly. Give it some leeway. And we are heading to the track, guys. We're heading over to Willow Springs. So I just got to do the brake side next. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Marcel Irnie. Cheers.